Howdy, folks. Welcome to another Making Music Mag edition of Feature Artists. And today we are featuring Rob Shanahan, who is one of the foremost rock and music photographers. He's taken pictures of Ringo, Elton John, geez, who else am I thinking of? Ablo Boreal.
You're lost for words.
I am. I did.
Hundreds and hundreds. Yes.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Thousands.
So not only that, he also is a bona fide musician. He's a drummer, and he's also very active with educational interests as well. So we'd like to welcome you here today, Rob. Say hello to the gang.
All right. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Now you're in LA today, right?
I'm in Los Angeles. This is home. I moved here in 1988 from Minnesota. Soda boy. So Chuck, you brought up educational. I'd love to talk about that first because I'm the product of an amazing, beautiful high school music program. I had one of those dream directors that, showed me the way, turned on the light and led me on a path that
dream director. What makes that person the dream director?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You said the dream director.
He was the perfect music director, like Mr. Holland's Opus. Remember that movie? That guy, my band director, Mr. Schreier, was just magical, and he inspired us in so many ways. And he turned me on to so many different great artists that I would have never, went out on my own to find, like Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson, all the big band swing stuff. And man, it was really great for me, for my musical education, and it led me on a path that, I don't know what I'd be doing now if I didn't have that in my past, in my history. So the power of good education, good musical training.
And good music, yeah, music. I often delight that music, one of the best parts of being a musician is all the people that I've been able to meet, such as yourself, and the stories that go along with it. The stories, but yeah, well, good. So that person helped you develop as a drummer then, and you carried on as a drummer?
Yeah, I was 10 years old, started taking drumming lessons with him, right to the basics, to the rudiments, the beginner sticks and the book and the drum pad. And, after a couple of years on that, I moved into the drum kit. He taught me how to play the drum set. And, 12 years old, I remember practicing every day, a couple hours a day, just playing to records. And that's just where it all started. Then when I was about 14, I picked up a camera and started taking pictures, and they both kind of grew together. I just, music and photography has always been, my main focus, my main love, my main thing. And, I went to, after high school, went to college, and my senior year, I felt I had enough, and I packed up a van with my brother, my younger brother, and off we went to California.
So, and then that changed everything because you got a couple of photography gigs, and then one thing led to another. I see you did everything from shooting live shots to some studio engagements to also products like Paiste and Yamaha. Is that what I read?
Yeah, Paiste, Yamaha, DW drums, Brady drums, Yamaha guitars, Fender. I've been doing a lot of product photos. And so, the phone just keeps ringing, and you never know what the gig is going to be on the other line. It just comes in and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll figure out how to do that. And that's just really how I've always been, just figure it out as we go along.
So what are some of the highlights of your photography career as it applies to music?
Well, as you mentioned before, all the great artists that I get to photograph, and not only rock artists, but, I shoot for the world's biggest symphony orchestras. I have, there's actually 2 records out that are up for Grammys right now that I did the cover photos of. One is a tuba player from the Sarasota Symphony Orchestra. And the other is a great jazz artist, John Beasley. I did the cover and all the liner photos. So, I get to meet all the great jazz artists, the great rockers, the great symphony orchestra players. So it's a real wide range, wide variety of musicians that I get to work with, which I love. I come from a jazz concert band history in high school. So thrills the hell out of me to go to Boston to shoot the first 4 trumpet players, the first 4 chair Boston Symphony Orchestra trumpet players. That's a big thrill to me. And then on the other side, I get to shoot all the great rockers. I've been Paul and Ringo's, photographer for a long time, and started working with the Rolling Stones and Aerosmith and Motley Crue and Van Halen and all these great bands that I grew up idolizing. And, to eventually meet them and work with them has been a real great thrill.
Cool. So I think I read somewhere when you got to LA, one of the first people you encountered was Tommy Lee. And then I read later on that you actually did a photo shoot with him involving fire. Did that organically happen from that initial meeting? Did you guys make friends?
It did not. No.
No, it just kind of reoccurred in your life?
That meeting with Tommy in the tattoo parlor in Hollywood is just so bizarre. So remember, I told you my brother and I moved to LA in a van. Here's my cat. Here's Lulu.
Hey, Lulu.
Now she's giving you her butt.
Yeah,
Lulu, that's not nice.
Yeah.
So my brother and I moved across the country, 4 days living in a van, get to LA. First place we stop is the Sunset Tattoo on Sunset Boulevard. Why, I don't know. It just happened that we saw it and we weren't going to get a tattoo. We just wanted to go in and see it. And I read so much about it. We walk in, who's there getting a tattoo but Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, one of my all-time favorite drummers as a teenager. And, I was just such a young, shy Minnesota boy. I should have went over and said, "Hey, Tommy, how's it going?" But I didn't. We walked out and go, "Wow, that's Tommy Lee." And we never talked to him. We never met. Fast forward years later, I ended up getting hired by DW Drums to go out on the road with Motley Crue to do some photos of Tommy. And I never brought up that story with him, but, we became friends, and, I've seen him around, and he invited me to his house for his studio grand opening party. And I brought him a copy of my book, Volume 1, which that photo that you mentioned with Tommy and the Flames is in, and he hadn't seen it yet. So it was kind of fun. It's kind of cool.
Are you talking about the book Through the Lens?
Yeah, Volume 1, Through the Lens of Me, forward by Ringo Starr.
So that's a book of your collection of various stars?
Yeah. Happen to have
Let's
one
talk
right
about
here.
it, because ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be giving this book away as a prize in a future contest. That clever cover.
Look at that. Volume 1, Through the Lens of Me, and forward by Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr. Now that's pretty cool to have an actual Beatle write the forward of your book.
It's been an actual thrill to not only meet Ringo, but become his photographer, and Paul. I've done so many things with Paul and Ringo, some photos in the book of them too. And I've actually had the great fortune of drumming with Ringo. So much fun, really a blast.
And you both lead with the left, correct?
We're both left-handed, but playing a right-handed kit. And that gets back to high school. The kit was set up for a righty when I sat down and started to learn how to play. So
Ringo's attributed part of his style is based on the fact that he leads with the left on a right-handed kit.
That's exactly it.
You can cop that feel too, I would imagine.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I've mentioned that, and I know certain fills that he does because I know how it goes being a lefty on a righty. So that was one of the first conversations that he and I had at Humphreys in San Diego, your old backyard.
That's my backyard. Yep. Yeah, I've been there many times. I remember when he would come in almost every year to Humphreys.
Yeah, that's a regular tour stop for him. Yeah.
So what's it like when Ringo drags you around Liverpool to show you his school and stuff like that? I mean, that's got to be a kick in the head.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting trip. I'll give you guys, give your followers a little backstory on that. So it's 2008, and Liverpool was named the City of Culture. And in the UK, every year, one city is named a City of Culture, and they have like week-long festivities, and they bring in all sorts of music, and it's an art and music um, festivity festival, like a week-long deal. And Ringo was headlining at the brand new Liverpool Arena. So we went in a few days earlier, and we had some time to go drive around Liverpool and check out all the old sites. And man, what a blast in a van with Ringo driving around, and he's pointing out different points of interest. And we went to his old high school. They renamed the soccer fields Star Fields. And
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty interesting. We got
Did
to
he play
tour this.
sports? Was he athletic?
No, not at all. But we toured the school. We, just it was pretty awesome, pretty magical. And then one night he had a family reunion with all his family and friends that still live in Liverpool, and got to meet some of his old relatives, and his best friend from high school. Just a lot of cool things went on. It was pretty cool.
That is cool. Gee whiz, any kid wishes they could sit in that seat, you know. I personally feel like I went to the school of Lennon McCartney as a, guy who decided to take on songwriting and be his own musician. So kudos to that, man. You're lucky.
Yeah, you can't beat their history, it's pretty undeniable.
Take it he's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, it's been a long, over a decade with him, even longer. And, it's been interesting.
So I'm a professional artist, which includes, everything from fine art to music to photography interests. And, someday I'll even design a chair or something because it just looks
Nice.
fun. You know what I mean? Um, so with that in mind, as an artist, and I'm asking this as an artist, when you're taking a photo, there's a cooperation in certain amounts where part of what's happening is based on what you're doing, your involvement with the image, and then there's a part that depends on your subject or the artist of whom you're photographing. What with that said, for the benefit of the people watching who might be learning how to put together their press kits and take care of their own branding and their imagery as it applies to them, what do you look for in the subject? What's their role to make the photo become a successful result or compelling, or you know what I mean? There's got to be
Yeah.
something you're looking for when you got that thing in your hand, right?
Well, working with unbelievably talented artists, I'm talking like, the big artists, being able to collaborate with them on, let's say, a record cover, or, any kind of promotional or marketing campaign or whatever it may be. I go in just totally open. A famous actress friend of mine once told me every scene she walks into, she just walks in with an open heart, wide open, and then just absorbs and plays off whatever that feeling comes in. I do the same with my photos. With any photo shoot, I just walk in with a total open mind, open heart, and just, once you start working with an artist, just see what develops, what happens, see how far or how far they're willing to go. Like, I may come up with a crazy idea and throw it out there, and if they say, yeah, love it, just dive right in and go for it. That's where the magic happens.
Have you
Or
had
sometimes you get pushed back, like, nah, let's do this. So, you just kind of go through and going through the motions and trying to, produce the best product that I can. My main goal going through every photo shoot is I want to get something out of it where people will look at it and go, wow, I get a sense of feeling from that image, or that image really makes me get the artist. I want to get into the artist's soul, into their heart, into their behind the curtain, behind the facade. I want to see the true artist and capture that in a photograph.
Now, I believe I saw something where you had this occasion with Charlie Watts, where you got the man inside the shell, or what, the facade, or the
Charlie Watts, one of the most elusive and underrated drummers, understated musicians on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. Just a remarkable guy, really amazing. And I've had the good fortune of getting to know Charlie Watts, really understanding who he is. We've all read about his love of jazz and, how he's not really a rock and roll drummer. He's just kind of, jazz drummer stuck in a rock and roll band is one of his favorite quotes. But I'll take you back to 2006. The Rolling Stones were playing here in LA at Dodger Stadium. So I called up Ringo, said, man, Charlie Watts is in town. When's the last time you two saw each other, got together, hung out? And I made it happen. Called Jim Keltner, my good friend and the great drummer who played on all the John Lennon tunes.
Yeah.
I knew he and Charlie were pals. So I figured I'd call Jim and help me, arrange with Charlie. And Jim called me back. I love it. Let's get Charlie and Ringo together. So the next day, the four of us met at Ringo's house. So it was Ringo and I and Charlie and Jim, and it was just a magical day. And it was really a lot of fun. And Charlie was so glad to get out of the hotel room and get to go do something fun. And, there's drums at Ringo's house. So there was some drum playing and talking about drums and hanging out. And then, 4:00 in the afternoon, Ringo looks at his watch. Oh, it's tea time. So the four of us go sit poolside, sipping tea and talking about all the old records. And I just had some great questions for those guys that I really wanted to dive into. And I'm sitting there looking, to my left, it's Charlie, there's Ringo, and there's Jim Keltner. And I'm looking around going, I can't believe I'm sitting here poolside with three of the most iconic drummers on the planet.
Man, yeah, the high court of that drumming. For sure.
Yeah, and after the end of the day, when Charlie and Jim were leaving, he was so gracious and thankful and asked if I wanted to come to the show at Dodger Stadium. So my wife and I went, and Charlie came and grabbed me backstage and took me back, and just a lovely guy. And he always said, whenever you want to come to a show, just let me know. So of course I've taken him up on it so many times, and I always go and see him. But it goes deeper than that. There's been some other really cool things that happened in my life with Charlie. Well, getting back to that day with the four of us at Ringo's house, driving home, I realized that I had this incredible group of photos, just an incredible catalog of images from that day. So I ended up putting together a little book of that day, and I only made 4 copies. We each have one, and cool. They just loved it. I got a call right away from Ringo and Jim. About a month later, Charlie called me, and it was just amazing to get a call from Charlie. Hello, Rob, this is Charlie. Just amazing to think I get a call from Charlie Watts. And it was just, one of the coolest things I ever did. And fast forward, probably 4 years ago, I was in Nashville, and there was a show in town, a tribute to Elvis. And a good friend of mine, drummer Phil Lime, was playing, and I went to go to the show to see him. And before the show, he asked me if I ever met DJ Fontana, Elvis's original drummer. He was there. So Phil went and introduced me to DJ, and just really great. And I asked DJ if he wanted to do a photo shoot while I was in town. I had a week in Nashville and some open time. So 2 days later, I'm at DJ Fontana's house. Him and his wife, Karen, were just so sweet and so awesome. And I did a really awesome photo shoot with DJ and the original drum kit. He had the original copper sparkle Gretsch drum kit, excuse me, that you've seen in all the old Elvis photos from the 50s. incredible. I sat behind the kit. He's got the original heads on the snare drum, you can see 2 wear marks. And I asked DJ about it. He's like, yeah, I found the sweet spots. Here's the chorus, here's the verse. 2 little sweet spots on the snare drum.
I
So
love that stuff. Yeah, what a privilege.
out of respect, I didn't pick up sticks and start playing on it, but I definitely played on it with my hands and fingers and just got a feel for the kit. And it was so awesome. And, you know, he asked me if I knew of any collectors that would be interested in buying the kit. Of course, the Hard Rock wanted the kit and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wanted the kit, but that's all donation. He wanted to sell them and, you know, leave some money for his grandkids. So I thought of Charlie, perfect person. And I knew Charlie was already collecting drum kits. He's got about, I don't even know the number. I'm guessing 10 to 15. I think it's smaller than that, 10 to 15, but really amazing key drum kits. Like he's got one of Buddy Rich's kits, one of Roy Haynes's kits.
Wow.
Anyway, so I sent a note to Charlie's drum tech, my good friend Don McCauley, that night back in my hotel room, and sent him some photos of the drum kit, and we connected the 2 of them, and Charlie ended up buying that drum kit. So my next visit back to Nashville, I brought photos from the shoot. I went back to see DJ and I brought a photo of him sitting at the kit that's just so lovely. And turns out that he and his wife had printed that photo life size, and it was up in their living room, up in the loft, right where the drum kit used to sit. The drum kit's gone, it's with Charlie, but they wanted to remember the kit, so they printed it life size. So cool.
Yeah.
So I had him sign one of the prints to Charlie. And just this last fall on the Stones tour, I went to New York to see the Stones, did 3 shows with the Stones on the East Coast. And I brought Charlie a signed framed print from DJ to Charlie. And Charlie freaked out. It was so cool because, as you know, we lost DJ a couple of years ago. He passed not long after my second visit. So it was really, really bittersweet. Really sweet thing to do. You know, I love doing stuff like that. I love connecting the right people and putting together beautiful stories like that. It was a real thrill for me.
So you're obviously, you know, pretty successful with what you've done with all this stuff. I would imagine that being able to connect and network is basically the essence of your success. I mean, part of your success is not related to your talent.
Well, it's a small community of in the music world, as you know, and you know, your name and reputation and your ability to go in and get the job done. That's what it's all about. Like a studio musician, you know, that's how they get the callbacks from the producers, being able to go in and you know, nail a track or be able to produce and get what's needed on record. And I guess that's the same way with photography, being able to go in and with minimal effort and not too much trouble, go in and get the job done. You know what I mean?
Right. So when you are shooting, are you typically in like a half-day shoot, full-day shoot kind of a scenario?
Yeah, it all depends. Sometimes I go in for an hour or 2,
Oh.
you know, or like if they're in the studio, get in there on a rehearsal and get out of there so they can go to work. And, you know, sometimes you have a small window of opportunity. Like my Quincy Jones photo that's in my book that everyone loves. That was literally a 2 to 3 minute photo shoot. Really, really quick. I knew I had it in the can, like second or third shot. I'm like, there's nothing, I'm not going to get a better shot than that. So I just stopped shooting and wanted to hang and talk and, you know, to be able to have some quality time with Quincy Jones. Doesn't get better than that.
That's another privilege, probably, you know, being interested in producing and recording and all that. I listen to him a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
listen to him for that. Like I listen to Lennon McCartney for writing, you know. So yeah, I'd imagine he's pretty cool to hang out with. What a wealth of, he's like an ocean of knowledge in the music
Oh, yeah.
business.
Another
Not
great
everybody does exactly what he did. What?
Well, yeah, a lot of what I do is, hang with these great artists and absorb. I just want to, ask the questions that everyone wants to know. I just love asking and, finding out as much as I can from them. And I take a little bit of each, little kernels of knowledge, and, use that for my own self.
Mhm.
And, we're going through life, and you separate the good from the bad, and you absorb and take what you can and use it for your own, and it's all part of the process.
So when we were talking initially on the phone a month ago or so, you had brought to light that you like to remain involved with education, music education.
Yep.
What are your involvements there?
Well, I've been doing speaking engagements for colleges, universities, music schools, art schools. I just love going and sharing the journey, and the lessons that I've learned, and the things that worked for me. Doesn't work for everyone else, but this is what I did. This is how I approach things. And it's all a part that I feel is giving back. Much like when I first started, like I've had some really great people, want to help me, which I do now. Like my assistant that I have, my full-time assistant, was the kid who started emailing me when he was like 15 years old. Hey, I want to, like, get involved in your world. And he kept emailing me, kept writing, and that reminded me a lot of me. I was that persistent guy. You just got to go for it. And you want to make things happen. You have to make them happen on your own. So I took this kid under my wing, and, he went through music school. He graduated top of his class at Belmont University in Nashville. And now he's working with me. He's a great singer songwriter. So he loves music, and he's like the perfect guy to have in my camp. Anyway, so I love taking young kids and helping them and showing them the way as much as I can.
And so, considering the people that you hang out with
Yeah.
because of your photography, and so you're
Well,
around a lot
there
of,
hasn't been much hanging out for the past, 8, 9 months. Since March, it's been a whole shift, the music,
yeah, tell me
you
about
know,
it.
not doing
And
many
so,
live shows. And, I've been doing photo shoots here and there, but I kind of had a chance to go through my old archives, which I've never really had the chance to do. My archives go way back to the 90s. So I started really diving in and cataloging, and realized that I needed to get a website gallery store up. So not only did I put up a gallery store of my music photos, but some of my travel photos, like Africa, which was a trip of a lifetime. And it's really cool to see the response from the Africa photos. Shooting wild animals, not too unlike shooting rock stars. Sometimes it's a fleeting moment, and you got to be ready. And there's an element of danger in there. And,
I would imagine some of the giraffes can be far more cooperative, certain occasions.
yeah.
Africa, which Africa?
We went
Serengeti and things
South
like that?
Africa. We did like 3 weeks in South Africa, like 4 different lodges, like 4 or 5 nights each, just kind of moved around, and just amazing. Just one of those life-changing, great trips. And I can't wait to go back. We were going to go back this fall, but that moved to next fall. So we've already booked and confirmed, and hopefully we can get back there next fall.
Neat. So, one more time for the benefit of our readers, with considering the people that you've met, very successful people. For the people in our camp here at Making Music who aspire to successes similar to that, is there any particular quality that you see among these successful people that could be attributed to their success? There's a
All
one
right.
thing they all have, you know?
I'm going to lay something out for everyone and tell you something that should be so obvious. It took me a while to figure it out. All right. So when I was a kid, when I say kid, teenager, just kind of trying to find my way, um, I was looking at the wrong mentors. You got to find the right people to surround yourself with. There's the old saying, you become the sum of the 5 closest friends you hang around.
You are who you
It's,
hang out with. Yeah.
it's totally true. So, you know, I was hanging in the wrong places, bars, clubs, but that's where live music is. But that doesn't have to be your social outing. So a long time ago, I found out how much I love to work out and fitness. And, I stopped drinking, stopped, doing all the crazy shit that I was doing, and just focused on my health. Our bodies, our minds, they're our biggest asset. This is our whole being is, and how we go through life is what's going to make or break, and how you choose to live. So I decided to, get rid of all the negative and hang with, positive, successful, healthy people. And, the old saying is, if you want to be successful, just follow along what successful people have done. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just put your nose to the grindstone. You got to do the work, whether it's practicing or, marketing for your business or whatever it may be. Be prepared to spend 12, 14, 16 hours a day on your business, on your craft. And that's what I've done, wake up every morning. I live and breathe, what I want to do, my career, and, going to the gym, being vegan, eating healthy, and, getting on the phone, emails, social network, website, all that stuff. It's a constant 24-hour, process. You're always thinking about moving the chains, as they say in the NFL. You're constantly moving forward, whatever that may be, connecting, keeping in touch with people, your fans, your customers, the artists that I work with, just trying to keep everything going. It works when there's not a pandemic and everything just shuts down.
Yeah, right.
But listen, when something like that happens, you find, other ways to do it. And here we are doing a Zoom meeting.
It's interesting that you say that because, I'm watching myself and all my buddies who play music live a lot. Everybody had to change their deal. And, if necessity is the mother of invention, to me, it's very interesting watching how the culture of engaging with music, whether you're a fan or a musician, how that's changing with all this Twitch world and the online presence, and watching people fumble through it, watching people do it creatively and successfully. We're kind of at one thing you could say that COVID has not offered so much, but caused, was this new trend in how we do music. Because music will always persist, right? It's been through wars, prior pandemics, and everything, and it just keeps playing. So it won't go away, but how we handle it, play it, love it is changing, and so perhaps after this COVID era, I'm curious, to see how that becomes its own small renaissance in the future of how we all do music. Do you have any observations on that?
Well, you're exactly right. The music will always play on. We'll always need music. We're just in a pretty weird stage of the world of history. We'll look back and wonder how the heck we got here, first of all. But secondly, how we come out of it. To me, I look at it as the music industry moving forward, once we get out of this, I think we're at the stage where it's kind of like at a horse race when you have a line of thoroughbred horses like ready for the gate to drop. And as soon as that gate drops, off they go, full speed ahead. And I'm really anxious for that day when the music industry gets back and the gates are dropped and off we go and we can go live again. And it's going to be pretty awesome to be back in a venue, into a live show, and hear live music again with a bunch of cool people and experience, the beauty of music. I
Right.
can't wait.
I certainly miss the fellowship of being out there with other music heads, that's a very difficult part of the whole thing.
That's another thing, talking about, my process. And remember, when you're on the road, you're doing a 1 hour, 2 hour show. There's 22 other hours of the day. So a lot of music is the hanging, between shows, between rehearsals, between recordings, and between photo shoots. It's all part of the hang. So being able to be a good hang is very key and very much a part of success.
Absolutely. I'm not successful by any means like those guys are, but I've been playing for a long time and I'm still in, but one of the things I realized how much I missed it as a part of what became normal in my life is hanging out backstage or in the green room with other musicians. So like, if we had our own, if we're the only ones playing, I'm not talking about those nights. I'm talking about nights where there would be festivals with multi-artists making appearances throughout the night. Those became my favorite shows because you play 3 songs, but you spend the rest of the night catching up with all your buddies who you never get to see because we're always working, right? You can't hang out with them on Saturday because we all have gigs. But on these shows, I just loved that comfort zone of being around all these artistic people and people who think things, little outside the box like I do, and I missed that a lot. The other thing I realized this morning, in New York, waitresses call you honey when you order your coffee in the morning, almost with an attitude. You want coffee, honey?
I love it
so much. I haven't been to a diner for breakfast in so long. I want to hang out backstage and get up the next day or after the show, go to a diner and get called honey. But
I love New York diners. My friends who will be watching this from New York will know exactly what I'm talking about, because when I get
art here, yeah.
The first thing we do, go to a diner, and everything is planned around meals. I love that. Just finishing lunch and they're talking about dinner plans.
Right.
Only New York. I miss being in New York so much. It's one of my favorite cities, and I spend a lot of time there when I can. But right now, no. But I'll be back there soon. I love to go back.
I feel the same way about Southern California. I've normally would have been there 2 more times since the COVID hit. I go back 2 or 3 times a year. Bounce between the coasts. I can't wait.
Yeah, I live in Venice Beach. I'm 2 minutes from the bike path, so it's been a nice summer. It's been nice and clean, sunny and hot. So we've been getting out on the bike path and doing a lot of exercise and enjoying the beach and being here in Venice. Yeah, it's good.
Well, if you get tired of it and want to go to New York and help us out with shoveling, just give me a call. We've got a shovel for you. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up right there. We've got another interview coming in here pretty shortly.
Right on.
I really appreciate you taking some time with us today. It's been great to talk to you about all this stuff.
Thank you, Chuck.
And we will, just so our viewers know, we're going to be giving away Rob's book as a prize here. And so make sure you sign up for that. And we'll carry on with that.
And also the website, robshanahan.art.
.art?
.art. I have a .com and a .art. The .com is a bunch of cool photos. It's a gallery. The .art is the store. You can go in and purchase your very own Keith Richards photo, or Charlie, or Paul and Ringo, whatever you want. And Africa.
You helped us out with the Lee Sklar photos a month ago, which were phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have the cover coming up on your magazine, right? When is that up?
That's out now. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
The staff is on the ball.
Oh, look at that.
Rob Shanahan photo of the amazing Lee Sklar, who's played on, I don't know, 2,700 albums or something like that.
What an amazing guy. What an
He's
amazing
a nice guy. I see him at the NAMM show every last couple of years, and I like his. He's like a regular dude, you know. Like when I
Such a
talk to
great
him,
guy. He
you know.
every time I see him, he asks about my dad. My dad was visiting from Minnesota one winter, and oh, look at that. My and Lee's favorite photo of him. I love that. That's in my book, volume 1. That's a
He's not
classic.
really as ferocious as he looks in this picture. He plays ferociously.
He's a
As
beast.
a musician, he's a ferocious killer. Like, you know, modest man, but his hands are not.
I'm telling you, shooting lions and shooting Lee Sklar are very similar.
Shooting lions,
Yeah.
like you
He's a
poke them
beast.
and stand back.
Lee Sklar, yeah, stand back. You're going to lose a finger. Lee Sklar is a beast. He's such a great, lovely guy. I love him. One of my
Yeah.
favorites to hang with.
All right. Well, once again, thanks a lot for being here with us, Rob. It's been nice making friends with you and
Yeah.
chatting about all this stuff. Really appreciate it.
You too, Chuck. Thank you.
Thank you. And to our viewers out there, if you have a good time with us, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all the social media channels. And keep coming back because we do this all the time. And we're glad you're here. Have a great day. Peace.
And don't forget, you can get on my social at Shanahan Photo, Facebook and Instagram. Follow along. We got lots of cool stuff that we throw up.